Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in. Check out your boy, Pfunk. Thinking right out here, nothing on but my Yankees and my pyramid. I got some good lessons for you today. It's gonna be a little while, so get popcorn, get comfortable. We're gonna be here for a minute. Just want to give you a heads up. Let's go. Writism, 25 rules to live by. Storyteller, story with a message. The message is story for life. I'm giving life lessons. You tune in and receiving them. I hope it's working out for you. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right thinking mission. And that's what I'm on. Good. Yeah, sorry about that. Right thinkers. Let's do what we do. Right thinkers. Right thinking mission. And that's what I'm on. Is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. They will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's my mission. And you know I'm on mine. Your job is to tune in, get your lessons daily, like I give them to you, and make it happen for yourself, aka know thyself. That's my mission. That should be your goal. Let's do this together. Let's go. Know thyself. Rhetorical question, but I have to ask because if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard that. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got you. A person who knows not and believe and think they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm a spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right? Think to know yourself. And to my yacht, be true. Got a nice little lesson for you today. But this is the diagram of what we're going to talk about again. See at the top, the little infinity sign right here? That's the sign of infinity. That's the noon. That's where it all starts. This is called, the title is, it's a little long, I'm going to break it down, but the title says, this diagram, number 6, is the order of evolution from subtle to gross and the combinations that bring forth the generated divinities. We talk about before creation on down to creation, to man. Okay? Nice little lesson. Starting at the top, I'm going to say the infinity. Now I'm going to start reading. It's been 6 generations brought forth by the main deities of the Anuian theology. We're just dealing with the Anuian. Now, from the infinite, which I showed you at the top, the next circle down is Ra. From the Anuian theology concept, Ra emerges. He's number 1. That's the first. He brings forth Shu Tefnut. Number 2. They bring forth Geb and Nut, earth and heaven. Shu is air. Ra represents the sun. Tefnut represents the water, coming down moisture. That's the rainfall. Then you got the earth, which is Geb. That's the 3rd generation. And Nut, heaven. They're going to give birth to man. These are all elements. Understand that. But now you start with the 4th generation is Asar, Set, Haru, Neptet, and Aset. And there's a line drawn from Asar to Haru. Picard means Haru, the prince, the boy, the young one. Haru is the root grown. So according to him, they all came out grown. Even Haru is grown, but he represents you in perfection. But Haru, Picard is you working toward that perfection. You end up Haru. Okay, that's the concept. Now, you got the next generation. You got Asar, Nephet gave, watch this, in turn gave birth. You got Asar, Aset, Set, and Nephet, and Haru, which is the 4th generation. They all represent the 4th generation. So where do you get the 5th and 6th generation from? Good question. When you combine Asar, which is the soul, with Neptet, which is mortality, you get Ampu, aka Anubis. He represents discernment. You need that quality in your life. That's why they put it there. It ain't in the original, but it's a spinoff. Why? Because it's needed. That's Anubis. He represents the what? The fifth generation, because Asar and Nephet got together and created discernment. Then you got Asar and Nephet gave birth to Anpu. Now you got Asar and Aset gave rise to who? Haru, which is you. Picard. That's you learning to become know yourself. Okay, that's the family tree. Haru, Anubis are the offspring of Asar. Those are both his kids. The first one, his firstborn, is Anubis or Ampu. The second born, the prodigal son, is Haru, which is me and you. Okay, conceptually. So now we know the concepts. Let's talk about them. I'll break them down for you. It's going to be a little minute. I'm going to try to get through it. So bear with me. Here we go. Ra gave rise to Shu and Tufnu. Shu is the principle of air and space. Okay. This really just to go over what I told you, but it's really going to break it down a little bit better. I'm going to go through it. Yeah, I'll give you the crossroad. Watch this. Space is the first aspect and element of creation, of the divine, that is necessary in order for creation to become possible. All conscious meaning he was aware of everything before it happened, and he took precautions to make it that way. And he's showing you right here. We're gonna walk through it as it though. In the Eastern mystical teachings, watch this. This principle referred to as, they call it ether. Air, ether, same thing. Space, all the same. Different name, but the same thing. The next principle of creation is Tefnut. Now she symbolizes the subtle potential of what? Dynamic energy, aka the life force within all creation. It was called Sekhem. Sound familiar? We talked about her before. We're gonna go over it. She is that which allows creation to have movement, energy, dynamic. She represents, as she's represented, excuse me, as a lioness, and she is related to the ancient Egyptian goddess known as Sekhmet, which is the lioness, the daughter of Ra, who he sent out. Another lesson. We ain't going there. I got too much stuff here to go into other lessons. So let's just keep it. This Sekhmet, she's a known. Now, Sekhmet is the goddess who presides over the power of Sekhem, aka, or what they know as serpent power, force of all things. That's what my girl met. Sekhmet. Okay, next one you're gonna talk about right quick. Then we got a little paragraph, a little bit of everyone, break it down. So I'm gonna try to go through them quick as I could. But let's go now. You got Geb and Nu, earth and heaven, respectively. Again, let me just read this stuff. I hate when I do that. Next, you got next Shu and Tefnut gave rise to Geb and Nu. Geb and Nu are the earth and heavens, respectively. So from the subtlest essence, which will start out with the air and the moisture, we come now to more physical, heavier stuff, essence of creation, Ra, the subtle principle, which is the sun, space, Shu, life force energy, Tefnut. All that emerged from what? From the space and life force energy. Even more dense principles arise, and these constitute the physical world. Here you go, the stars, the planets, and the outer space, etc. Thus, from Ra, the basic principle of creation emanated, and this sets the stage for what? Existence, aka the Big Bang Theory, or the existence of human beings and the life forms of creation. It was said that humans were formed from the tears of Ra. When Shu and Tufnut came back, he cried, and that's how human beings. Everybody got a little different story, but let's deal with this right now. I got a lot of stuff to go through, so I ain't got a whole bunch of time to dip off and do my thing. So let me just stick to the lesson. How about that? Notice that all the principles, watch this, Shu, Tufnut, Geb, and Nu are what? Are pairs of opposites. After Ra, everybody follows Maya. And Ra stands on Maya. She represented by the pedestal. Again, here I go. Get back to the lesson. All right. I'm trying to get all this education out a little bit at a time. Okay, I'm getting better. Work with me. All right, here you go. So Shu, Tufnu, Gabe, and Gab and Newt are all pairs of opposites, which what would have been given male and female iconographs. Again, opposites don't always have to be male or female. Good, bad, up, down, in, out. Opposites. Yin, yang. Get it? Philosophical concepts that you need to understand if you want to learn these philosophical points of views and understand the myths. This point, watch this, to the teaching that existence is what? Is a mingling of opposite principles which emanate from one single essence. However, in and of themselves, they are not what constitute life. Here you go. They're elements from the human point of view. Why? Because they do not contain what? The dynamic consciousness of the self or spirit, Ra, in the proper manner to what allow reasoning, feeling, etc. to manifest. Why? They're elements, again, of creation. Reasoning, feeling, memory, action, love, and other capacities are what constitutes the human existence. All those are qualities that we exhibit as humans. Here we go. Are you ready? Now, in order for those to manifest, the proper combination of matter and spirit must be present. The next five deities do what? Represent that melding of God and creation, which allows human life to exist and to be sustained. He already put everything in place to sustain human life when human life comes into existence. That's called being conscious. All conscious. Ain't no surprises, ain't nothing you didn't already know. Okay? That's the concept. Understand that. Now moving on. You got the next five, excuse me. Sorry. The next five is, here you go, my favorite right here. Asar, spirit. Aset, wisdom, intuitive knowledge. Set, ego. Nephet, which is mortality. You understanding that this body will exist. And then you got my boy Haru He ain't on here, but we'll get to that next one. Let's start with these four. Okay, two pairs of opposites. Set, that got together. The ego can't reproduce. So spirit, Asar, gets with Nephet, which is Set's wife. They get a baby, we get Anubis. Set ain't too keen on that, so he had to do what he had to do with Asar. Another story, but that's another story. Cool. Now, from Gab and Newt arise Asar, Aset, Set, and Nephet. Asar and Set represents what? The epitome of what? Human existence. Understand that. Why? In the view of the myth, Asar is seen as the soul, the creation of and reflection of who? The divine consciousness, Ra. Aset represents, again, intuitional knowledge and wisdom. Those are two qualities that you have to have, and that's from Aset. You have to master those qualities in yourself, which, watch this, which transcends what? Time and space, and is united with the soul, which is her husband, Asar. They make a good couple. When the spirit and intuitive wisdom get together, it becomes Haru. They give birth to Haru. Me and you. Let's go. Where we at? Now Set. And that represents the lower nature of every human being. Below the waist. Watch this. Set is the epitome, Set is the egoistic will of a human being. A lot of us don't understand this, and please, I'm trying to make it clear. That phrase we use, it ain't the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Your ego is that dog. And it got couldn't fight. Your ego is the honey badger of spirituality. Why? He don't run from the fight. That's the ego. Why? It's God out. It's on its own. Conceptually. That's why I try to break it down to get you to understand. Now, for every human being, you got selfish, greed, impulsive, and full of desires for what? Sensual and sexual pleasures. That's every young man. Hormones running wild. Okay, he wants to do the wild thing as much and often as he can. Okay, that's lower nature. You can't live there. Some people try and they all fail. How about that? Got one right there. So therefore, watch this. Set is what? Set is that aspect of a human being that is prone to becoming what? Involved with and exasperated the desires and the egoistic tendencies of the mind. Your mind will be controlled by your ego self. Why? If it's not enlightened, if you don't put your ego in check, he will kill you. Why? Because set the ego, the acronym or the hieroglyphic for that sign is a man with a hatchet to his head. So set is self-destructive, and he also killed others. He killed his brother. He don't care. Okay. So egoism and being Satanian, not a good quality to exhibit. A lot of us do. Don't even know it. That's the problem. If they maybe knew about it, they might can change. But a lot of them don't have a clue. So it's hard for them to change. And if they're successful, forget it. They're done. Moving on. When this occurs, watch this. In a human being, what? They do not see things clearly and become what? Enslaved, as it were, by what? His or her own desires. I call them fetters. When you do something to yourself that's causing you harm, that's self-destructive. The ego will do that over and over and over again. Some of us do the same thing repeatedly over. That's the ego in control. That tells you if you're ego driven, you're gonna keep doing the same thing. You're not gonna change. So if you're egoistic, check yourself and make some changes. Well, that's how it's done. It's not gonna change itself. I don't know, that's something in my eye. It's killing me. Okay, excuse me. Back to the lesson. Now, where we at up here? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Design. Now, when this occurs, a human being does not see things clearly. Why? They become enslaved to what? Their own desires, feelings, emotions, and worldly attachments for what? Worldly objects and for worldly experiences. Rich and famous, I can get what I want, I can do what I want, go where I want, To have everything and not have knowledge of self is detrimental. Understand that. Moving on. I ain't going too much into that one. But the lesson should pay itself out. Now, this is known as what? As spiritual ignorance. And I can tell you, I know a bunch of spiritually ignorant people, and I want to make them spiritually enlightened. So I teach them. That's why I do what I do. It's for them too. Now, they call it spiritual ignorance or what? Bondage to what? The world of time and space. That means you slave to society. Matrix sound familiar? Where everybody just going like a bunch of mice, just a bunch of ants just doing what they're doing, ain't paying attention, nothing matters. They just tunnel vision on doing what they gotta do. That's where we headed. They're trying to make it that way. So prepare yourself. Watch this. It is also what? The cause for reincarnation or the cycle of birth and death which every human being suffers until they what? Attain, are you ready? Spiritual enlightenment, nihas, or to know thyself. If you're in this world and you're doing everything except that, guess what? You'll be back. Just letting the heads up, moving on. I'm not watching the clock, but I'm watching the clock. So let me get this lesson through. Now, your goal as a right thinker is to obtain spiritual enlightenment. My mission is to give you information that so you can do that. That's why I do what I do for you. Let's go. Now, that represents what? Mortality. And all that is transient in human existence. If you're born, you're going to die. And all human beings are what? Born. So what's going to happen? We're going to die. The body will leave here. Won't leave here. It's going to stay here. The spirit will leave here. Either it's going to go get another body or it's going home. Two choices. And your decision for that will be made by how you live your life. Okay, moving on. That's the concept. I'm teaching lessons. I'm not a whole bunch of preaching about God. No, I'm trying to teach you something that you can implement and use, and you'll get to know God for yourself. Moving on, not after death. Meeting God after you die ain't meeting God. Sorry about that. Not that. She is what? Physical nature itself, which represents what? Which transforms itself when constantly. Why? Through bringing forth life only to what? See it die. And then what happens? Reborn again. My trees right now, dead. Why? The leaves have fell off. It's winter time. They go into hibernated state. That's nature. It'll be back. All those years they've been doing that, it's know just what it's doing. It has its own memory. We have memory too. Half of our brain stores memory. The other half stores imagination. You got to balance them out and use them to your benefit and live in the present. Moving on. Watch this. So thus she also presides over what? Reincarnation. But also she represents another important principle of human existence, which is what? Neptat is the quality of devotion in all life, which is expressed in its highest degree through what? The emotion of love, which manifests in every human being. I was asked the question, what's the strongest force in the world? I said love. But I don't, if you don't know the answer, or questions you ask me, I'm going to answer the question. I ain't got time to divvy back and forth. You ask, I answer. If I didn't know the answer or didn't have an idea, I would tell you, I don't know. But I do know, so I gave you the answer. So if you're asking a question, it's obvious you don't know the answer. So the person you ask them because you think they would know. And when they answer it, respect their answer and understand it. Don't fight and argue and go nuts because it ain't contrary to what you may have thought. Who cares what you thought? What do you know? And the person who knows will tell you what they know. I will. What I don't know, I tell you, I don't know. So moving on. Every human being has love. Neptat loves what? A soul. There you go. That is to say, she is devoted to him and wants to mate with him. In other words, mortality desires what? Immortality. What Asar represents. The spirit, the soul, it represents immortality. Watch this. The freedom of the soul. When she mates with Asar, they bring forth, here you go, Apu, who represents right discernment. Spirit, mortality equals discernment. Okay, the right thinker. He's the ultimate right thinker. That's my boy. I love him. So watch this. So therefore, upon discovering Ampu, which is his real name, we know more about Anubis thanks to the Greeks. When you discover Ampu, watch this. Excuse me. Now conscious is spelled Conscious. Yeah, but ancients knew conscience was spelled Conscience, conscience, which is conscious, pronounced conscious, but it means conscience. I mean, it's been proven. It's a scientific fact. That's what they mean by that. I spec that out for you. I want you to understand that they knew the difference between the conscious and conscience. Okay? We lost my space. Oh, yeah. Okay, here you go. Now, when you find Apu, you master that quality in you. Watch this. No longer does you, the person, desire what? Worldly things for your own sake. No longer do you, a person, care or think about what? The body, mortality, and finite existence. Why? The principles of Nefet. But they now turn towards what? That which is true in life. Human love manifests in what? Various degrees. hmm Some people love what? Themselves. It's okay. In a selfish way. Not good. Caring for themselves only. Those are the egoistic people. Selfish, only care about themselves. You know them kind of people? Those are the ones you want to avoid. Why? Now, this condition is what? Set. Hello, I keep trying to tell you. Operating through them. When you are that kind of person, those are qualities of set, the ego. Often, watch this, others love material objects. and sensual pleasures. That's all we live for. Make that money and have that fun. The American dream turned to a nightmare for the both of us. I was young enough to make a change. He was too far down the road. He couldn't make the change. So moving on. Just a personal tidbit there. All right, watch this. So this is also what we call Satanian concept or aspects. Although a more expanded manifestation of love, just in the wrong way of self. Okay? Others, watch this, love family members, and still others love their community. You got some love may expand to what include one's country or even humanity. That's where I'm at. At the highest, love in time and space is for what? God. At the highest, love in time and space is for God again. And what happens? Transcending that is what? Nebercha. Remember him? The all-encompassing God? They call him Nebercha. Now, as the feeling of love expands, a person loves what? The earth and the heavens, Geb and Newt. And then the subtle essence which enlivens creation itself is who? God, and beyond that, the bird child. Thus, watch this, you grow in universal love, and in so doing, you are actually growing in cosmic consciousness because God is universal love itself, the cosmic expansion of love and devotion for all that exists. So again, the question was asked, what's the strongest force in the world? Love. That's why he's in the heart. I'm down. Relax. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. I'm doing good. Hope you're enjoying this lesson. It's a little lengthy, but I hope it's informational. Let's go. Now to talk about Neptet again. Neptet is what? The reflection of Aset. She's mortality. Aset is immortality. The difference between the two, Aset wears her throne outwardly. Neptet wears hers inward. An inverted throne she wears. And her name means what? Lady of the house. House here implies what? More to the physical body or, again, physical human existence. Boy, I love this. Which exists in creation, which is also time and space. Now, whereas Aset, she represents the subtle spirit realm, which transcends mortality. Next level. In any case, they are what? One and the same goddess expressing what? In two forms, the subtle as well as the gross aspects of creation and in human consciousness. Remember, there's circles that go up. Ida and Pingala, we got Ice, Aset, and Nephthys. Same thing. Okay, they the serpent. Mayate, the Mayate twins, that's them. Okay, they do a few things. Why? Because one represents mortality, one represents immortality. They go together like the yin and the yang. So let's go. The fact that they are both consorts of who? Asar. Asar was the man. He like Frankie Crocker. Get two pieces. I had affinity for that nonsense too when I was ego tripping. So, but it don't mean that. It means that he got two opposites working together. Remember? Okay, that's the concept. Our low minded was thinking menage a trois, and I gotta admit, not a bad deal, but it's for a reason. We just used it to make a point. You can take it any way you want, but his consorts was Asar. Why? It points to the fact that the soul, Asar, is wedded to the subtle, which is Aset, higher level. She brings on Haru, they birth Haru, as well as what? The gross essence, which is nature, Nephet of creation. He can have it both ways. He can get both pieces. Immortal, immortal. He created Anubis, which is discernment, which is a bomber. He also has Haru, which is the spirit that's in us. He's a bad man. That's the concept. Now, it is notable that what? While Nephet is supposed to be the consort of Set. What's going on there? She is nevertheless drawn to who? Asar. When you the man, women just gravitate to you. It's a natural thing, and this is what it shows you. It didn't start with us; it started a long time ago. So watch this. They both were drawn to a star, and Set produces no offspring with her. Quick lesson, I gotta do this one. Set is a unique, one-of-a-kind entity. He don't need to reproduce. You don't need but one of him. Why? He covered the whole spectrum of bad, evil. So he can't reproduce. He don't have to. He can't. I'm saying that for the lesson. But the idea that he don't reproduce. The spirit can reproduce. The ego can't. Okay? No power. In the same way, watch this. A life of vice, egoism, and selfishness, principles of who? Set. Again, if you doing those things, you're set. And what does this do? Set produces no offspring in the form of spiritual enlightenment. He can't. He can't leave Earth. Why? He's four-legged animal. He's forced to stay here. That's why Haru is represented by the falcon. It has wings. Red Bull got wings. It can fly. The spirit can elevate. And without no offspring in the form of spiritual enlightenment, abide in joy, peace, or happiness, but only illusory ego conscious frustration, unrest, and discontentment. If you're living an egoistic satanic lifestyle, those are things that's going to happen over and over and over. Self-inflicted fetters, problems that you got to deal with, but that you caused. Again, next one is Anubis, or Anpu as we know his real name, the Greeks Anubis. Watch this. Now, this is interesting. Watch this. Anpu is what? The offspring of spiritual soul, asar, and pure physical mortality, nature. Now that nature and spirit brings on Anpu. Anpu is often related to the dog or the jackal deity. Why? The jackal deity has two aspects. Anpu and Anpuet or Wipwap, Wepwat, or Wipwawat, Wepwawat. Now, Anpu is the embalmer. When it was said that Osar got found again, put the 13 pieces back together, Isis gave him the penis to reconstruct them, he was embalmed by his son, Anubis. If I had to embalm my dad, probably would. If that was that's what I did. If I had to lighten them, I could do that. So whatever your profession is, you should be able to do it to anyone. Doctors can't operate on family and love. Why? Emotional, okay, that's because they really got their stuff together. You shouldn't be caught up in that nonsense. But let's go back to Anubis wasn't. Now, one of his qualities were he prepared the initiate, the sheet, SHTI, one who is what? Is in the coffin, the body. As a neophyte, the initiate is considered to be dead, a mummy, since he or she does not have what? Conscious realization of the what? Transcendental reality beyond what? Their ego personality. That's a perfect classic. Oh man didn't believe in none of that. So this is all he knew. And when it was all starting to go away, he's freaking out. Why? Because this is it for him. He got no kid coming. When you serve yourself, when you deal egoistic set, you can't go that way. You go this way or that way. The body goes that way into the ground, and the spirit goes looking for another body. Why? Because it didn't get enlightened. Simple conceptually. Let's move on. Now, he or she is an ordinary mortal human being in consciousness. Now, at this stage, excuse me, you, the aspirant or right thinker, must be what? Prepared through what? Virtue and physical purification in order to what? Receive the teachings. Find somebody who know what they're doing. Tune into Pfunk Thinking Right my YouTube channel, and I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. Perfect segue. Why? Because without this preparation or teachings of the highest teachings will fall on what? Deaf ears. In this context, Apu represents what? vigilance, and the constant practice of what? Discrimination and watchfulness, mindfulness over who? Your ego self. He's the ego destroyer. He ain't letting it go down like that. No, my man, we ain't having that. That's discernment. Apu represents what? The development of mental clarity, sanity. He's not going to allow nonsense. Watch this. He's mentally clear, sanity, which unfolds within you, where the human heart in degrees, means gradual. It takes case. Again, right? Segue gradually through what? Through the practice again daily of what? Discrimination, watchfulness of who? The ego self. It becomes effaced and reveals the true self as one with a soul. When you raise your conscious level, cut out all the nonsense. That's what I'm trying to teach my right thinkers. Raise your level to reach the level of a soul. Now, what do Apu represent? Control of what? Thoughts. Control of one's actions and devotion of purpose. When people talk to me, man, you too strict. No, I'm going to follow a strict regimen that I live by. Simple as that. It's called principles, morals, ethics. A lot of y'all don't have a clue, but I do. So don't knock me for doing what I do because you don't do it. Understand that. Watch this. When you learn how to distinguish between what? Right and wrong, that's discernment. When you learn to distinguish the real from the unreal, again, discernment. All y'all right now, these mega preachers, Joel Osteen, TD Fakes, and Creflo 50 Cents, and Gina, all them clowns that y'all pay for nonsense, what they say about you. I can't complain about them. You, the follower, your discernment is way out of whack. I go to church every week. I donate to my church. I'm not giving nobody 10% of nothing. Understand that. My man Eddie Griffin say, you can't play a player pimp. I ain't giving you nothing. But I fellowship with good people. I make sure I look out for the church. That's what I do. And I'm dedicated to that. I'm devoted to that. My pastor told me, Brother Wright, no matter what I'm going through, I never miss my payments to the Lord. I gotta have church money to go to church. Why? I told you about the story a few weeks ago. I didn't have church money. I used my money. And I got it back. So nothing less, but let's get back. Excuse me. I hate that, but sorry, but making a point, keeping it real. Let's go. When you practice discrimination, watchfulness of the ego self, the ego have to what? Work for you. Now it's in a position of servitude. It's going to serve you. I use my ego to my benefit. Another lesson, another time. Right now, let's get this done. Now, Anpu also implies what? Dispassion. I'm not emotionally attached to nobody or nothing that I don't be involved with. So easy. But dispassion, excuse me, and what? Detachment from what? Worldly desires. You can't tempt me with money, women, all that nonsense. I'm above that. Simple. This should not be misinterpreted as what? As a pathetic development, meaning detachment from the world implies what? A keen understanding of the world and all objects in it cannot bring happiness to the soul because they are what? Transient and fleeting. I'm not caught up in the stuff that materialistic stuff of the world. I wasn't one time, had to drive a Cadillac, been there, done that. But when you get better and wiser, those things ain't that important. And since the essence of all objects, watch this, is that women. Since the essence of all objects is higher self, and what? Detaching from objects, you will what? Merely detaching from the reflection of the higher self and attaching to what? The real higher self behind the objects. Mhm. From the perspective of spirituality, the act of what? Detaching from objects does not mean simply giving up objects. No, I'm not beat for a whole bunch of not. I don't have toys. My man accumulated a bunch of toys. Okay. When he left here, somebody got all them toys. My brother, my sister, everybody came and took the toys. Okay. I don't need his toys. Don't do toys. I do books. Rather, watch this. It means you have what? A more profound way of seeing and understanding objects of the world. I like nice things. I dress and do nice, but I'm not running around here naked. No, no, no. I shop at Target. Oh, no, Burlington. I like them. Okay. Cheap stuff. All right. Everything. I go to the clearance section. That's where I bought my stuff. So I ain't fancy. All right. Moving on. Why? Objects ain't that important. That's why. When I was fancy, I bought this jacket about 20 years ago. $500. I work at UPS. I saw it. Put it on layaway. I had to have it. Why? I like that jacket. And somebody said, nice jacket. So you get stuff to, look nice. So, but now I ain't big on that no more. I said, I shop at Target in Burlington. But watch this. What we have now? From the perspective of spirituality, and I did that already. Okay. Mm, it means you have more, okay, yeah, more fun with him. You understand, watch this, that they are what? Temporal creations from the source of all existence, your very own heart, as in a dream, and therefore are not what? Abiding realities that can or should be possessed or owned. My car, that don't mean nothing to me. It's transportation to get me to and from. I'm not hell bent on that damn car or any car, anything. Understand that. Discernment tells you what? Discernment, purity of mind, the ability to know right from wrong, truth from untruth, reality from unreality, are what? The hallmarks of who? Ampu mind. Thus, these qualities are essential in the beginning of the spiritual journey as well as in the more advanced practice. These are qualities you have to get better at in order to develop what? A mind that is capable of discovering the subtle between the absolute reality of spirit and the subtlety of egoism, desires, and apparent reality of time and space, making good decisions, which are what? Temporary, illusory. Everything here won't last. The Ampu mind is required. Watch this. Ampu as the preparer of the mind, the purifier of the mind, operates where? To allow proper discernment and right thinking. Bam! I'm even made up in there. About what? You got to have discernment and right thinking about what? Worldly situations and objects and people. Now, as a prayer warrior, which I am, the Ampu mind, the capacity to what? Confront wrong thinking. If you're faking a perpetrator, we're gonna have a problem. Why? I'm gonna call you out. hmm hmm When you confront wrong thinking, it allows the aspirant to what? Succeed against the what? The incorrect ideas, thoughts, and desires. Ampu, as Anubis, opens the way excuse me, and leads you, the aspirant, to what? The land of spiritual enlightenment, which is the West. And Apu of the West is the mind of the West, the place where what? Life a comes to a proper end in peace and spiritual enlightenment. He didn't go out in peace. Why? He kicked screaming. Why? Because he wasn't enlightened. He didn't know himself, and he had no kick coming from serving his lower self. That's why. So let me wrap this up. Purification is understanding the nature of the transient. This capacity of mind to discern operates in what? An intellectual process of the mind, as well as a foundation for the capacity of the mind to what? Understand concepts, as well as to separate understanding from egoism, the desires that skew the mind and cause it to what? Make bad decisions that are partially to the desires, or partial to what? Sexual desires that are not based solely on any truth. The qualities of Ampu assist in the spiritual movement since it is intellectually grasp of because it's an intellectual grasp of mystical philosophy is necessary to progress on the spiritual path. However, intellectual sophistication, sharpness, and subtlety are only a means and not the end in themselves. Spiritual evolution, watch this, necessitates a transcendental movement where beyond the level of the ordinary human intellect. The level of the mind and senses got to be raised. Now we return to the other aspect of Anpu right quick. Anpu is the god of two faces. He is a second aspect whose name is Apuat, Apuat, which means what? Opener of the ways. Once the Anpu mind is, watch this, engendered, the mind that knows truth from untruth, then the Wipawat aspect can lead the soul to what? A higher realm of existence, to the netherworld. Here we go. That is what Wipawat did for Asar. He led him into the next world. After Asar was what? Resurrected. In the same way, Wipawat mind leads you, the aspirant, on the right path for spiritual enlightenment. Then the movement of dissolution, the spiritual journey to enlightenment based on the Paiute can begin and have a positive outcome. Now you start your journey. Let's wrap it up with Haru and Het Haru, Horus and Hathor. Haru is the epitome of all human qualities. Here you go. That when are supplemented or harmonized, heart-mind coherence, he is the offspring of who? Spirit, Asar, intuitional wisdom are set. When human beings evolve in consciousness to their full potential, here we go. That's what we want to do as right thinkers. They become masters of their own consciousness, which is spelled Consciency, as well as their own physical nature. They are the perfect blend of what? Matter and spirit, yin and yang, desire, devotion, wisdom, and power. Those are all good qualities of right thinkers. They transcend what? Time and space, even as they continue to live in time and space. Such a life is what? Glorious, and it is the goal of all right thinkers, aka human beings. Wrapping it up, the goddess Het Haru is the subtle essence of what? Dynamic force, spiritual power in creation, as symbolized in what? In her form as what? The right eye of Ra, the sun disk. The sun disk is the ultimate symbol of what? Dynamic power of the divine self, which sustains all life. Her name indicates a close relationship to who? Haru. The name Het Haru means house of Haru. Haru is indeed the one who dwells where? In the house of Het Haru. In other words, the spirit Haru lives in what? Creation. Het Haru itself. Haru is none other than who? Ra, in another form, and Haru is also Tahuti, my man. Haru is also Nefertim, easy. Nefertim is what? The beautiful completion, the divine self which arising from the primeval waters, sitting on his lotus. He's the one, his hand to the mouth, sitting on the lotus. Okay? That's every human being, watch this, every human being Haru, is not separate from God, but is essentially God, and who arose from the primeval waters, Nefertim, and in potentially able to realize their own true nature, aka know thyself. The self manifests as what? As the universe, as well as the consciousness, aka Ra, and the intelligence, Tahuti, which resides, lives, and interacts with that of creation. That's in the lesson. Hope you understood it. I got more coming. These are things that we're going to start doing. Hope you enjoyed it.